Good morning, Western Slope. Happy Tuesday. I'm Dalen Brazelton. Let's talk about your weather. Folks, we are seeing another beautiful day here, but of course, waking up to some of that moisture across the region here. Taking a look at America's Mattress Live Tower Cam. Got a very interesting sunrise happening as we're kind of getting a peek behind those clouds here as the valley kind of starts to clear up a little bit. We're expecting to see those temperatures dip a little bit compared to what we're used to here. Hanging out in those mid to low 90s for the highs today. Of course, we're seeing pretty average temperatures for this time of year all week long. The only thing that's really standing out right now is some possible gusty outflow winds developing a little bit later in the day. But let's talk about right now and what we saw this morning. Of course, those scattered showers and that moisture happening across the region here, just a little smattering as it pushes across the I-70 corridor, specifically near Gateway as well, getting a little bit of that much needed moisture here. Right now, we're waking up to those low 70s in Grand Junction. Montrose, Paonia, you see in the mid 60s, Delta in the low 60s, and then Nucleus and Glade Park in that mid to upper 60 range right now. Moab seeing 70 degrees as well to start the day. Pretty mild start compared to the many areas seeing 70 plus degrees last, just 24 hours ago. Then we're going to be seeing those 90s a little bit later in the day, starting at 1 p.m. instead of that typical 11 o'clock noon hour here, and then just a very gradual increase from there. You can expect cloud coverage for most of the day. It could be clearing up a little bit in those later morning hours, but it'll be definitely sticking around in some form or another. For that dog walking forecast, we got Bronco and Trixie hanging out with us here this week, and it's going to be a great morning to take your dog out for a walk. We got these upper 60s here for 7 a.m. developing into nearly 80 degrees by 9, but quite far away from those 90s that we'll be seeing at noon. Just enough of a wind speed to keep things nice and breezy, and of course, like we mentioned, that cloud coverage sticking around for most of the day today. And then as far as that pollen is concerned, grasses, weeds, and mold, all in that low category still here, as well as that smoke being cleared out by a lot of the rain here, that coagulation really putting in some work over the course of the last several days to get things a little bit on the clearer side, but it isn't really enough to help with that drought yet. We're still in extreme drought for Grand Junction, seeing a bit of exceptional drought, which is one step above that for the Grand Mesa. However, we are really starting to see it expand east here, now past Aspen as far as that pocket of drought is concerned. We do have that monsoonal moisture still working its way through the central mountains, and while we're not expected to see much, if any, of that moisture today here, we'll definitely be seeing some not only in that San Juan region, but also in the central mountains, pushing all the way up till Wyoming here, actually. That associated with this low pressure system that's pushing in across the region, well, that could be adding in some interesting conditions here, especially on the Front Range. Typically, low pressure systems are associated with moisture. However, we're actually seeing this being relatively dry for what it could be kind of pushing across the mountain ranges here. And that's at least for tomorrow. So the Front Range could be seeing some of those showers, but it's definitely still pushing some out of our region here. Now, as we look ahead to that Discovery Auto Group 7-day forecast, we'll be seeing that cloud coverage stick around for a couple of days longer. And then by the weekend, things kind of starting to clear up here. And you can definitely tell that with the temperature, folks. Triple digits expected by next week once again. Montrose, slightly cooler, very consistently hanging out in the mid to upper 80s for the next couple of days. Then just a slightly higher chance to see some of that moisture as you head into the middle of your week.